Greetings, welcome to the channel, I'm EddiesetGo, and in this video we're riding this, the Yamaha Tracer 9 GT. So here we have the Tracer 9 GT, Yamaha's flagship sports tourer, designed to eat miles and travel longer distances in comfort, but do it with a sporty edge. The Tracer series sits alongside the MT series in the Yamaha range. The wheelbase on the Tracer 9 GT is longer than the MT-09. The swing arm is about 6 centimeters longer. The bike overall is about 10 centimeters longer. So you've got all of that awesome engine, electronics and excitement packed into this longer wheelbase, which should mean it's a bit more comfortable, a bit more stable, and able to accommodate a lot more weight in terms of luggage, pillion. At its heart, we've got this 890cc cross-plane triple engine, which I can attest riding my MT-09 SP. It is an absolute peach of an engine, which we'll get into in the review and put it through its paces. The engine puts out about 118 brake horsepower at about 10,000 RPM, generating 93 Newton meters of torque at about 7,000 RPM. This is all connected to this large 18-litre fuel tank, which should give the Tracer 9 GT a range of about 220 miles on a full tank of gas. Now, the Tracer 9 comes in two versions, the standard version and the GT version, which we have today. The standard version costs in at about £10,200 here in the UK, while the 9 GT, which we're looking at here, comes in at about £12,200, so an extra £2,000. Both Tracer 9s come with fully adjustable suspension, but where the GT stands out and what you pay for is fully adjustable, electronically adjustable KYB suspension, front and rear. Elsewhere around the GT, you also get an up and down Quickshifter, 10-stage heated grips. So you do actually get quite a lot for your money in terms of fully adjustable electronic suspension, the side hard cases, the up and down Quickshifter, heated grips. Also included on the Tracer 9 and the Tracer 9 GT is the 6-axis IMU electronics package from Yamaha. So this is internal measuring unit, measuring all the forces and angles the bike is going through. And with that you have lane sensitive traction control, ABS, anti-wheel lift control, and there's also a braking control system as well. So there's a plethora of electronic riding aids to make sure this bike stays safe on the road as you put it to the limits and go out touring. So as mentioned, the seat height is 825 millimeters. I can get both feet to tippy toe on the floor. I'm 5'8" tall, so I can get both feet down. The fuel tank is nice and broad. Got very nice wide bars here which kind of taper back towards you with the handguards. It feels all very protected and adventure-y. There is a centre stand included with the Tracer 9, so that's great. Let's just fire it up. Now that sound is very familiar to me. That is the beautiful cross-plane triple engine which is also on my MT-09. Let's turn the bike around then. Yeah, this is quite nice. The bike weighs in wet at about 213 kilos without the hard cases. I think it's about 220 kilos the GT is over the standard Tracer 9. And just stop here a moment. So yes, the weight is rather heavy compared to most normal naked road bikes. The MT-09 I ride weighs in at about 189 kilos, so there is a fair few more kilos on this bike, but it doesn't feel overbearing, it doesn't feel overpowering like it's going to topple over and make me feel quite small compared to it. I know some of those bigger adventure sports tourers like the Tigers and those big BMWs, they absolutely look huge, but this is quite manageable. Before I begin the review, just a quick shout out to Webs of Lincoln, who have been gracious enough to lend me this bike for the afternoon. So if you are in the East Midlands of the UK looking for Yamaha and Triumph, a fantastic workshop, a great showroom full of awesome clothing as well, then please do check out Webs of Lincoln for Yamaha and Triumph. They also have a dealership in Peterborough as well. Yeah, this all feels very familiar. The engine sound feels absolutely familiar to me, but the riding position certainly is different. So with the MT-09, I think the pegs are a little bit higher, but I will say I thought that the pegs would be lower on the Tracer 9, but they're still quite sporty. You know, you're not sitting in an armchair for sure. There is definitely a slight perch forward. The seat that I'm sitting on, it can be adjusted, but the way it's positioned at the moment, I feel like my butt is kind of leaning forward a bit. It's not a flat seat, it's kind of pushing me forward into this kind of slightly more aggressive sports touring riding position. So as we're just cruising through the town, let's talk about these dual 3.5-inch TFT screens in front of us. Now, I'm showing my age right now, but there was the hit 1980s show Knight Rider. Inside Knight Rider, Michael Knight, he used to access lots of cool electronic systems and weaponry with like these kind of big TV screens inside the car. And they kind of remind me of that, these kind of slightly old-fashioned square angles make it look a bit old-fashioned, but retro cool, if you know what I mean. And I'm actually a huge fan of those display systems. On the MT-09, I know people complain that it's quite a small display compared to others. KTMs, they especially have large displays, and the Tigers, but the displays are super crisp, the graphics are super fine, you can see everything rather easily, and Yamaha have done the smart thing of spreading out some of that information from the one screen onto the other. So we've got things like the odometer, we've got fuel consumption, we've got range. But yes, let's just talk quickly about the controls. I do like talking about the switch gears and things that your hands touch on the bike. It's really great to see that Yamaha have updated the kill switch on the Tracer, also on the MT series for 2021. That sliding button that they used to have, which kind of always used to break, or the spring didn't engage back into place. They have replaced that with this new robust on-off switch, which is great to see. Down below that kill switch, we have a little rocker switch which you can actually scroll through the menu items just down here on the right thumb. You can scroll through the menu items, press it in to select those menu items and change what you see on the displays. If you want to look at what's in the gas tank, if you want to look at the range of the current trip that you're on, it's really quite intuitive to move around. You can switch between the displays that you're using, so it's just highlighting the different options there. So that's on the right hand. On the left hand, we have a whole array of buttons. You can see there's the mode here. We've got the button at the top here to change the power output that we're on, mode 1, 2, 3, 4. We can also change that. You can click the mode switch, which is actually the overtake headlamp flasher on the left forefinger here. If you press that, you can change that, so that top button becomes the traction control setting. Below that we have the lighting, so the dip beam and main beam headlamps. We have an indicator switch here, which is very nice. I'm a big fan of the, good indicator switches, which kind of really could clunk when you use them and you rock the thumb over them. But no, these the MT series, the 09 and the Tracer 9, they have really good indicator switches. You know when you've turned them off, which is reassuring. And then just above here on the left thumb, I can just see where my left thumb is hovering right now. We have the cruise control. So yeah, the Tracer 9 does come with cruise control. I think the standard also comes with cruise control as well. So that's a standard fitment on both Tracer 9s. And this is so easy, just moving around the built-up traffic areas here. Super comfortable. I do feel quite high up when I put my feet on the pegs. I do feel quite high, even though it is the same seat height as the 09. My MT-09, I do feel quite commanding. I think it's because the bars are wider and tapered back, so my shoulders are back. And there is more weight on the butt. If I'm going to be picky, I wish Yamaha perhaps put a blacked out bar, perhaps, just to make it a bit more sleeker, like the MT-09 SP. I think you might get that on the blue version of this bike. But no, this looks very solid and well put together. But just riding it through the town, it feels super light. I mean, I know it's 220 kilos with all the gear on, but yeah, super light and nimble to use. I just noticed as I was braking during some of those inner city areas, the suspension was diving a little bit more. On the MT-09 that I ride, the suspension is very firm. It's a sporty roadster, but this has a nice bit of dive in those front forks. It's very comfortable to use. Is that the screen? Oh, I think so, yeah, you push that up. Oh, look at that, you can just adjust it with one hand. How easy is that? just feel like a big bike. Just cornering, and it felt like a big commanding bike. I'm used to being quite tight and narrow on the MT-09, but no. So this is incredibly comfortable. There's absolutely zero wind blast on me. I'm travelling very comfortably at motorway speeds, and we're just cruising along. There's absolutely no wind blast on my chest or my head. I can feel it right at the top of the helmet. Let's say that the wind blast is right at the top of the helmet. Let's just push this screen up a second. And now there's almost zero wind blast on the helmets. It's quite surreal. I feel like I'm in a kind of a pocket of still air. So what that means is over longer distances then, this should be very comfortable with absolutely zero wind blast. The most wind blast I'm getting right now is perhaps on my shins, down near my boots. But the rest of me is, it feels very protected. Yeah, this is where, coming around these corners now, I feel lower to the ground on my MT-09 for some reason. But on the Tracer 9, I feel quite tall and commanding. I think it's because the bars are so wide. But that's a good thing. It really does make you feel in control. So let's just put the Quickshifter through its paces, just to... Nice, it's absolutely effortless and seamless. As I was coming up the box there, I referred to the suspension being very comfortable. Coming up the box, you can feel the bike just kind of moving as you're changing gear. You can feel that power delivery, just notching the bike slightly. It's comfortable, it's not off-putting. So yes, with the screen back down, there is a bit of wind blast now, just around the top of the helmet. And perhaps, I'm going to say there is a little bit of wind noise. There's a bit of wind noise, like a bit of buffeting, shall we say. It's a buffeting noise. You know, when you've, if you've opened the sunroof on a car and you've not opened the other windows, you get that kind of a slight bit of buffeting noise sometimes. You have to crack the other windows to get rid of that sound. There's a little bit of that, just as I'm getting up to motorway speeds and a bit beyond motorway speeds. You can just feel a bit of that that buffeting there. Let's just see how that goes over the course of the ride. But ergonomically, this is a very comfortable and a very confident feeling bike. Really nice feeling that Quickshifter. It's a joy to just jump up and down the box, you know, in rapid succession. You don't have to worry about the clutch. You can just flick up and down the gearbox and the bike will do the rest. I find myself short shifting a lot, so not going all the way up the rev range and just flipping the Quickshifter up through the gears. It's a very addictive sound and it's a very addictive experience. I have commented that the quick shifting system on the new Yamahas, it's fantastic. It's not absolutely perfect though, as I will have shown in the my new MT-09 SP update video. It's fantastic about 98% of the time. Sometimes I do get a gear where the quick shifter won't engage into the next gear and I have to engage the clutch manually. But it's only happened once or twice. To be fair, you know, the gearboxes on most bikes, you know, they're not absolutely infallible, they're not absolutely perfect. But I'd say 98% of the time this system is fantastic. It really makes for an enjoyable acceleration and deceleration experience as you're riding. It's nothing to be worried about or concerned about. And already what I'm liking about it is the softness of the suspension. It's not too soft, but I just like the way you can feel what the engine's doing as the bike's accelerating and decelerating. The bike just kind of moves around a little bit, and it's good because you can understand what the bike is doing. So if you are a new rider and you're looking for a large capacity, you know, sports touring bike, and you think the Tracer 7 perhaps may be a bit small for you, and you're looking for something that can really eat up some miles, then you know, this bike, you can feel what's going on. The chassis is quite responsive. So if you're a new rider looking for your first big bike, I already wouldn't be afraid of jumping on this machine. You know, I perhaps might be a bit hesitant to recommend the MT-09 as a first bike, but the Tracer 9, with this very commanding upright position, and with this quite responsive chassis where you can feel what's going on, I think this would make quite a good long-term first bike. Especially with the power modes. If you're sensible, you can drop this thing into mode 4, decrease the power completely, and just learn the ropes in the lower modes. And then as you get more confident, you know, unleash the fury on the higher modes, and you've got yourself a bike that can suit you well for probably many years. It's great, you can drop behind the screen and there's absolutely zero wind blast. It's fantastic. I'm so used to feeling the wind all around me at this point with this engine, but on this bike, yeah, let's use that Quickshifter into first. We've got a really nice slip and assist clutch here, just smoothing everything out as we're coming down the box. And the quick shifting system, I've commented on it already, how addictive it is to use, but it is very smooth to use, even between first and second gear at absolutely slow speeds. Let's just demonstrate that. I'm always a big fan of showing rather than telling. Let's just slow it down a second. There's a car behind me, but even at low revs, you can just engage the gears up and down. It's so easy to just change gear. It does mean in those really big built-up city areas, if you are going over longer journeys and travelling through foreign cities and doing some urban exploration, you're not going to get you know, hand ache on the clutch hand. You can use the quick shifter more and more, and just makes things a bit easier. Let's just demonstrate now. Look, here we go. Second gear. Look at that. Just absolutely just going up and down the gearbox. So simple. So let's just quickly engage the cruise control. I'm a huge fan of the cruise control. It really does a great job of giving your right hand a rest. Hey, give your right hand a rest as you're riding. We just press the middle button of the two rockers and the system engages, a little illuminated LED at the top there. That means that the cruise control was activated, and then all we do is set it. And there we are, we are actually cruising right now. So cruising, we're going to slow up shortly for this train crossing. But it's as simple as that. You simply engage that middle button to activate the time control circuits, the cruise control circuits, and then you simply engage the cruise control. You have to be traveling, I think, above 40 miles an hour and be in fourth gear or higher. So 4th, 5th and 6th to engage the cruise control. So there is a couple of criteria in order to engage the systems. We've got a learner rider just up ahead. Let's just overtake. Let's just go past. Give him a thumbs up. It's always good to get a thumbs up from a fellow biker. And so there we go, we're cruising along now in 4th gear. I'm just going to engage the cruise control system. There it is, it's all set, it says set there. And that's it, you can take your hand off the right handlebar for a moment and just give your right hand a rest. It's really useful, I find, as to when you're doing a bit of hard riding and cornering and braking. You can just engage the cruise control to give your right hand a rest. Obviously on a sports tourer like this, covering longer distance is going to be a godsend in terms of making those long motorway segments of your journey a bit less tiring. You can just relax your right hand, or just rest it on the fuel tank or whatever while you're doing those long stretches. Now we're currently in D mode 3. This is power mode 3 of 4. I'm just going to close the system and we're going to go down into mode 2. I usually ride around in mode 2 on my MT-09, so this is kind of the one above absolutely lunatic mode, which I would reserve for crazy days and track days perhaps. But let's just give you an idea. Let's just pull the throttle, 3rd gear, 30 miles an hour, and off we go. Woo! You feel that front end lifting. If you're going to be loading this thing up with luggage and a pillion, I don't think you're going to have any problems in terms of power, delivery and having fun on this machine. We're going to hit a couple of twisty corners shortly and just see how the bike handles through those twisties. I do recall on my Tracer 700, on the twisty areas, the bike did struggle. It felt slightly out of its depth. It shuddered, it shaked. Is shake the right word? It shuddered and everything. It really didn't feel comfortable when I was kind of pushing the bike. So I'm going to be quite intrigued to see how this bike feels. Bring it over. Yeah, the bike, you can just feel it through some of these corners. It wobbles a little bit just when you're coming out of the corner. Ooh. Into first gear, nice and smooth. Let's just bring it around. Missed that apex absolutely terribly. This area of road is absolutely bumpy as anything. I bounce around on my Tracer 700. It was, you know, wrist and arm shockingly bad. My arms would vibrate. It was painful at times going over this section of road just back there, at speed especially. But on this Tracer 9, those KYBs, those electronic adjustable KYBs, are doing a great job of soaking up everything. Let's just bring it around this corner. Around here. Into first gear. That slipper clutch just smoothing all the stuff out. It's a bit damp around here at the moment. Yeah, this is a super fun bike. It's obviously not as agile as a smaller middleweight naked machine. You know, it's not a middleweight naked, it is a sports touring machine. There's more bike to move around. But what I'm just trying to demonstrate here is there's plenty of grunt and agility to have fun. So when you are hitting those longer journeys, whether you're going traveling or whether you're just doing a longer commute, this should do a good job of putting a smile on your face. When I think sports tourer, I don't know about you, but when I think sports tourer, I think of traditionally the old CBR 1000s. Remember those? CBR 1000R, quite long, upright sports touring-ish bikes. I think the closest modern comparison to that is the Kawasaki Z1000SX. I think that is the definitive, that's highly regarded as the definitive sports touring bike. And when you look at it, it looks like a sports tourer. It has the sleek lines, it looks like a sports bike. Whereas the Tracer, when you stood next to it, it looks quite upright. It almost looks like an adventure bike, a bit like a Tiger, a bit like some of the BMWs. But when you're perched on it, when you're sat on board, you do feel a sporty perch. You are perched forward. You're not sitting all the way back. There's definitely more weight on the butt compared to the MT-09, but now there's still a sporty edge to this machine. So I remember on my previous Tracer 700, I did change the exhaust. I put an Arrow exhaust system on there just so I could be heard by other road users, because I felt quite inconspicuous riding the Tracer 700. It was quite a quiet engine and a quiet exhaust. But with the MT-09, I've not felt the need to. And again, with this Tracer 9 GT, I wouldn't feel the need to put an exhaust. If you can if you want to, I guess. I'm sure there's Acropovic systems that Yamaha can do, factory fit for you. But the exhaust has been designed and developed by Yamaha to be, to have character and also, complement the power output. But because the stock exhaust system is loud enough, it means that other road users are going to really be able to hear you. So if you are traveling to foreign cities, and especially foreign countries, if you're not too sure about the, the road etiquette, road users are hopefully going to be able to hear you on the Tracer 9, hear you coming, and be aware that you're sharing the road with them. Yeah, that front wheel was really off the ground then. I think the jury's out on the screens. I'm watching them, they're fine, they're functional, they're slightly retro. One thing I will comment on is that the screens are slightly facing more towards my chest. I don't know if you can see on the video, but whereas my camera here, my camera just there, the camera's kind of in my eye line, much as with my MT-09 screen, the camera is facing my eye line. But the screens here, they're kind of more facing towards my chest. So if you are a 6-foot+ rider, let me just kind of scoot up, you're going to be looking a bit down at the screens perhaps. And maybe if there's a bit of direct sun glare on there, it might obscure some of the view. I've got the sun right behind me now, and I can see the screens absolutely fine. So there you have a first ride review of the Yamaha Tracer 9 GT. What do you think about this awesome sports tourer from Yamaha? Please drop a comment below, join the discussion. For me, this bike seems to take all of the fun, awesome aspects of the MT-09, which I love, and put them into this very slightly larger, more manageable, perhaps even more safer bike to ride because of the riding position. I'm upright, it's a much more commanding position, there's a little bit more weight as well, and because the suspension is a little bit softer, there's a bit more feeling coming through the chassis. So for new riders, you're going to be a bit more comfortable on this bike. You can feel what the bike is doing. The Tracer 9 GT is stacked with electronics, you know, more electronics that I could ever cover in a single test ride, but there's plenty there to keep you safe on the road. Lean sensitive traction control, ABS, anti-wheel lift, which, as we've already seen, works reasonably well, but under hard acceleration that front wheel is going to come off the floor if you really want it to. So there's plenty of fun to be had on this bike. So on those longer journeys, on those longer commutes, this bike still will be able to put a smile on your face, and you can do it all with a bit of comfort. The seat is a little bit firm. I would probably try the comfort seat just for longer journeys. It's £2,000 more than the standard Tracer 9, but you do get the adjustable electronic KYB forks, the Quickshifter, the heated grips, and the side hard cases, which can carry, both of them can carry a full face helmet. You do get quite a lot of kit for the money. This has an adventure bike look, but a sports touring kind of feel. If you've got a Tracer 9 GT or a Tracer 9, please let us know what you think. How's your experience of the bike going so far? Let's just cut through these tight corners. Look at that. I love the turning circle on this Tracer 9. And that Quickshifter. Woo! Let's just put it through these twisties before I sign off today. Here we go. Coming down the box down into second, using those Nissan calipers. That roar from that cross-plane triple, it's addictive, so addictive. Tight bend there, and away we go. So yes, I do hope you enjoyed the video. If you have, please give a thumbs up to support the channel. Your support is always appreciated. And if you are new to the channel, then please make sure to subscribe to see more bike videos. I've been Eddie Set Go. We hope you ride safe. Stay safe. See you next time.